iPhone 15 series is here, and it brings a series of massive improvements to the iPhone. The iPhone 15 gets things like a new 5x telephoto camera, USB-C at 3.0 speeds, and a new A17 Pro chip that can enable console-quality games on your phone. Oh, it doesn't? That's just the Pro and Pro Max? Okay, so the standard iPhone 15 may not get all the bells and whistles that have been making headlines, but they do get some improvements that make the experience of using the base iPhone a little better and a little more convenient. There are a series of minor enhancements to the phone that make for a decent upgrade. Spoiler alert, the iPhone 15 is a better phone than the iPhone 14. There's no question about that. But if you're thinking of upgrading from the 14 to the 15, or you're thinking of either buying the new phone or saving some cash and buying last year's model, this video is for you. If the video is helpful to you, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps support my work, and I'd appreciate that support. Now, while the new iPhone 15 Pro devices get a new titanium build, the standard iPhone 15 and 15 Plus stick with an aluminum frame. It's not a bad look by any means, though, and actually, I still quite like the overall design. There are some changes to overall design, though. For example, the new devices have more rounded edges, which helps make them feel less sharp, and indeed they do feel a little softer in the hand. It's not a big change, but it is a helpful one. Unfortunately, the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus stick with the good old ringer switch. They don't get the action button that is now available on the iPhone 15 Pro devices. In other words, there's no big difference there between the iPhone 14 and 15. But move from the left side of the device to the bottom, and there is a bit of a difference. Finally, Apple has included a USB-C port on the iPhone. That means that you can use the same cable that you use for your other USB-C equipped devices to charge the iPhone 15. Now, the port is limited to USB 2.0 speeds, which makes it a little slow for transferring files. But I tend to think most won't really use it for file transfer anyway. All I care about is being able to charge my phone using a USB-C cable. The colors on the iPhone 15 are a little different. Apple says that the glass on the back of the iPhone 15 is color infused, and the glass does look nice. Really, however, the changes are that the iPhone 15 comes in blue, pink, yellow, green, and black. So there's a nice selection of colors. Really, however, the design is more or less the same between the iPhone 15 and iPhone 14. It says a lot about a phone upgrade when the port on the bottom is the biggest design change. Moving on to the display, and there's a change here too. While the overall quality of the display is more or less the same, the iPhone 15 gets a feature that was previously reserved for only the iPhone 14 Pro, the Dynamic Island. I actually quite like the Dynamic Island on the iPhone 14 Pro. It offers helpful information that's easy to see. For the most part, I use it for media controls, to see AirDrop and time of progress, and to see Uber progress. But it's also useful for things like sports scores. Sure, a completely uninterrupted display might be better, but for now, I like the Dynamic Island on the iPhone 15. Apart from that, however, the displays are mostly the same. The standard iPhone 14 and 15 have a 6.1-inch display, while the iPhone 14 and 15 Plus step that up to 6.7 inches. They all have a 460 pixel per inch density, which makes for a crisp and detailed image overall. And they're all OLED screens. The iPhone 15 series can get to 2000 nits brightness, while the iPhone 14 maxes out at 1200 nits. But that's peak brightness, and most of the time you won't notice the difference. They're good looking screens though, and make for images that pop. I do hope that the standard iPhones get promotion, or a 120Hz refresh rate, soon. The performance on the iPhone 15 is a little better too. Unfortunately, unlike the iPhone 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max, the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus don't get the A17 Pro chip that Apple says enables console quality video gaming. That's unfortunate, but not unexpected. And still, the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus do perform better than the iPhone 14 devices. The iPhone 15 and 15 Plus have Apple's A16 Bionic chip, which is the chip that powered last year's iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max. The end result is that while they won't perform quite as good as the Pro iPhone 15 devices, they're still excellent performing phones. They handle multitasking with ease, load even intensive mobile games quickly, and they'll power your iPhone for years to come. Thankfully, the iPhone 14 and 14 Plus still perform well too, though not quite as well as the iPhone 15 series. They offer the Apple A15 Bionic chip, which still competes against even the highest performing Android phones. Ultimately, you probably won't notice a huge difference in performance between these two phones, though the new devices will likely support an extra version of iOS down the line. Then there's battery life, and while it's similar, the battery life on the iPhone 15 does seem to be slightly better. The battery in the iPhone 15 is a little larger, and in my battery test I found that the iPhone 15 was able to last an extra 20 minutes or so, which is a small improvement, but still one that's worth noting. In day-to-day life, most should find that any of these devices is able to last a full day of moderate use. I do wish that the iPhones could charge quicker though. All iPhone 14 and 15 devices support Apple's MagSafe wireless charging tech, which is pretty handy. But I wish they could charge a little quicker through a wired connection. Last but not least is the camera, and for the iPhone 15 series there are some improvements. The iPhone 14 and 15 still both have a dual camera array. However, while on the iPhone 14 you only got a 12 megapixel main camera and a 12 megapixel ultra-wide camera, on the iPhone 15 that main camera is stepped up to a 48 megapixel main camera, which outputs images at 24 megapixels. Beyond the higher resolution output, there's actually a new feature which is pretty handy here too. Apple has included a new 2x telephoto mode, which doesn't physically zoom in, but it does allow the phone to offer an effective 2x zoom by cropping the pixels, and without a drop in image quality. Indeed, images zoomed to 2x do look better on the iPhone 15 than on the iPhone 14, thanks to the fact that there's no digital zoom on iPhone 15 images. Beyond zoomed images, the iPhone 14 and 15 can both capture detailed, bright photos, the majority of the time. They also capture relatively detailed low light photos, which is always handy. So let's recap. The iPhone 15 and iPhone 14 are similar in many ways. However, the iPhone 15 adds USB-C and the dynamic island, has slightly better performance, and has a slightly better camera. These are some helpful features, but they're not game-changing. If you already have an iPhone 14, it's not worth upgrading to the iPhone 15. If you're deciding between the two, it's worth considering whether or not the additions are that helpful to you. If you can find a good condition used iPhone 14 for much less than the iPhone 15, then it may be worth simply buying that. But if you can afford the iPhone 15 and don't mind spending a little extra for a phone that's slightly better, then that might be a good option for you. You can buy all the phones discussed in this video using the links in the description. Thanks again for watching the video, and again, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if it was helpful to you. My name is Christian, and I'll see you next time. See ya.